Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the channel. I won't lie, it's like almost 3 a.m. in the morning here. I just don't feel like sleeping, and considering I'm very short on time recently, I thought, well, I could just be wasting time on the YouTube, or I could actually make a video for the YouTube, which I have been promising for quite a while. So let's just get on right into it. Uh, Today's video is going to be about the legendary modules that you can acquire on your tier 10 ships. Now, before we start talking about the modules, a few things I want to mention. First, these missions are not going to expire when you see the expiration date. For example, let's see, follow the Moskva expiration date 31st. Like, if these have not already been prolonged, which they should, because this is probably 31st of the next year. What is this, August? So, yeah. There's just a common rule that everybody just keeps forgetting. These missions do not expire. The wargaming has to have an expiration date on them because that's the way they do things. And when the expiration date arrives, they just prolong it. And you keep the progress, you keep everything. Alright, so now that we got that out of the way, second thing. I played with most of these modules, if not all of them. I will be giving you my opinion. Some are going to be definitely a yes, some are going to be definitely a no, some are going to be definitely up to your preference, and some are going to be, well, questionable, so you make the final call. You do not have to, of course, listen or agree with what I have to say. Eventually, it all comes down to the playstyle and your preference, but I can give you a suggestion and my opinion. And what I'm pretty sure that most of you will want to know is this particular module worth it? So, we have a whole bunch of tier 10s to go through, and I don't intend to make this video an hour long. So I'm not going to be showing you any clips of each and every one of these modules at task. I'm just going to be showing you what each one of them does, which slot it goes to, what you're losing, what you're sacrificing, and what you are gaining. Which ones I would suggest to use, which are ones I wouldn't, and so on. So, without further ado, let's jump right into it. First off, Des Moines. I think, personally, this is one of the best modules in the game. It is absolutely exceptionally good. So if you have a Des Moines, absolutely yes. What does it do? It goes in the last slot, where you usually slot in the better reload, or some people will go for more range, or maybe better AA, definitely not secondaries. But if you just throw that off, because Des Moines has a very good reload, and the range that it has, it's kind of enough because it's got slow shell velocity, and the AA on it is good enough anyway. I mean, 99. Enhanced propulsion gives you minus 20% rudder shift time, so you turn faster. And the most important thing, 50% time taken to reach full power when accelerating. So when you're stationary and you want to accelerate, you will accelerate like a destroyer. Let me just show you, like Shima. If you go on, some reason I don't have it here. But if I were to go to any destroyer, this is like an absolute must. Pretty funny that I picked Shima right now because we were testing something and this module wasn't on. Time taken to reach full power when accelerating, minus 50%. This is an absolute must on almost every single destroyer in the game. Almost every single destroyer in the game. And this module with Des Moines is giving you basically the same thing. You start like a Formula 1. You will have a problem slowing down, but that absolutely doesn't change anything because you have a problem slowing down with any ship, including Des Moines, with or without this module. So it will take a bit of a time to get used to. So pros and cons are you will accelerate like a madman, which can be very much useful if you need to quickly change location or accelerate to dodge torpedoes. A bit of a con, a bit of a problem with it is it takes some getting used to, because sometimes you will be peaking an island. Like let's say this is the island and you want to peak and you will accelerate full speed because you're used to your ship being really slow at accelerating. And then before you know it, you will be kicking 20 knots and you will already be here. And by the time you decide to slow down, it's already too late. You're going way too fast and it's going to take you forever to slow down. So it takes a bit of getting used to. So a quarter speed, half speed for a second or two, and then you immediately go full reverse. But it is an absolutely beautiful module. I'm pretty sure that if you watch my YouTube channel for a bit longer, you have seen some special compilation videos in which I pull off some absolutely ridiculous torpedo dodges because I was full speeding. Now the good thing about this is it does not only speed forward, it works both ways. You can fast speed in reverse as well. So if you need to back up, if you're stationary, something pops up in front of you, you need to back up behind the island, this thing will accelerate really fast in reverse as well. It is extremely good module and I can't recommend it enough. So next one, completely opposite thing. On the 5th slot of the Minotaur, you have enhanced smoke screen generator. Now what's the thing with this? It gives you 5% detectability, but concealment gives you 10, so you basically lose 5%. It gives you plus 10% to dispersion of shells fired by the enemy attacking your ship. This thing gives you 5, so you basically gain additional 5% of being, well, basically less chance of being hit when enemy fires at you. The main thing though is action time of the smoke screen generator consumable plus 150%, but smoke screen dispersion time minus 15. What this means is when you go to your consumables and you take a look at this, you have action time of consumable 15 seconds. This will increase your action time of the consumable, but smoke screen dispersion time will go down. Now to translate what that actually means is when you deploy your smoke, you know that your smoke is being deployed for a certain amount of seconds, in this case 15. After 15 seconds, that's it. You have deployed your last puff of smoke, and the last puff of smoke will last 113 seconds. What this module does is it will reduce that 113 seconds significantly by 15%. You will lose the how long your smoke screen will last once it stops generating puffs, but it will increase the amount of puffs that you can create. I think this is absolutely worthless for a Minotaur in any situation besides a very specific coordinated team effort, as in clan battles. If you want to save your spot on a destroyer and you want to go for the cruiser, and you want that cruiser to have as many smoke screens as possible, but you don't need them to last too long and stuff like that. Because in randoms, if you want to use the smoke screen and keep moving, like for example Perth, that's fine, but you need to move quarter speed, otherwise you will be faster than your smoke screen. And a quarter speed, creating more puffs, you will basically create 2-3 additional puffs. That's not big. That's nothing special. It just, I think you lose more than you gain. Honestly, I think this is only for a specific clan battle, team play, whatever, oriented gameplay. Otherwise, I don't really see a lot of value. I think just concealment is a lot better. Yes, you get additional 5% to your dispersion that the enemy is shooting at you, but with this cruiser, you genuinely just do not want to be detected anyway. So in my opinion, this one is a no. Okay, Bourgogne is a new one. We don't have it. The next one is the Shima. I have tried this. Like on paper, you would think that this actually makes sense. This is not what I usually use. This is what I use. This is, since the Shima was buffed, we wanted to do the gunboat, but I would use torpedo reload booster, which gives you 15% faster reload of the torps, and the risk of losing your torpedo tubes, which you can decrease with this, of course. What this special module does, it gives you 25% torpedo reload instead of 15. So you get additional 10%, which is, I don't know, a couple of seconds. It still gives you the penalty of losing your torpedo tubes 50%, but it also gives you the penalty of 80 seconds turret traverse slowdown. Now, this does not mean the main gun turret traverse. This means torpedo turret traverse. Do you know how these torpedo tubes will be turning? Like battleship main guns. So, follow my mouse. This is approximately the speed that your torpedo tubes will be turning at. Now, you may be thinking, it's fine. I'm a destroyer. I don't really care. I'm going to be undetected. I can fire these torpedoes. Oh boy, I tried 1 or 2 games. It is a lot harder than it seems. Because you legit need to be... Your ship needs to be aligned perfectly when you want to fire, and you must not touch your rudder. And the target must be far enough so that your torpedo tubes don't even have to turn. I died trying to launch torpedoes by just clicking like an ape, and the torpedoes wouldn't go off because they weren't allowed. They weren't aligned enough with the gray line. With, you know, when the torps are aligned so you can actually fire. It is not that great. And you only get 10%. So, sorry Shima. No. Alright, let me just take strepsils because my throat hurts. There we go. So, in my opinion, no. You do not get enough out of this for it to be worth it. Harugumo doesn't have it. Zao. I think this one comes to your preference. Most people will probably use this one, main battery modification 3, which will give you a better reload. This one will give you better dispersion, better range, and better rudder shift. So you will be turning your ship a lot faster, which is very important for Zao. You will have even more range, which is kind of nice. And your dispersion will be even tighter. I think this is an absolute yes. And there's not much to say, honestly. You sacrifice a bit of reload, but you get a lot of bonuses. Yamato, also one of the ships that has a really good legendary module. Usually you would take the reload at a cost of turret traverse. Here you get a bit less better reload, but it's still good. You get -6 instead of -12. But you will also gain additional 7% to dispersion. So your dispersion will be even better. And instead of paying 13% to main battery traverse speed, you will be paying 19%. So your turrets will be turning a bit slower. But your turrets are turning already super slow. And this is not a ship that does very good in close quarters, unless you're secondary spec. So you need to be thinking in advance what you're going to do with these turrets. But if you're used to having your turrets turn slow, then you will have no problem with them turning even a bit slower, but you will be landing those shells even better. So, in my opinion, this one is a yes. Haku, this is a bit awkward, because what you would usually go for may vary a bit. You could go for aircraft cruise speed 5%, your planes are 5% faster. Or you could go for more HP, 15% of your strike groups. This is what I use. This one gives you fighter HP 10% and aircraft cruise speed 5%. So it's completely a mix. It gives you this, aircraft cruise speed 5%. So it's this module that's buffed with 10% fighters. Now, ever since the Haku was changed, now it has 3 fighters, 3 torpedoes, 2 dive bombers, or 4 fighters, 2 torpedoes, and 2 dive bombers. It already has a lot of fighters, and it can already go up to par and even dominate the Midway. So I'm not sure you really need to buff your fighters even more, but that's really up to your preference. If you want to have faster planes, and for them to have more HP, be even easier, have an even easier time dominating the enemy carrier, yeah, sure, why not? But if you are not that much into fighters, might as well just boost your strike planes with a normal upgrade. So this one is situational. It's really up to your preference. Gearing. Here's one of the modules that really inspires a lot of controversy in the community. A lot of people are like, is this really worth it? Some people are strongly yes, some people are strongly no, some people are divided. For me personally, absolutely yes. Now, I don't know how much you value my experience, both in randoms and competitive, which I have plenty. But eventually this will come down to you. But my opinion is yes. Why? This gives you 15% detectability. The regular one, which you would use, gives you 10. This gives you 5% to dispersion of the enemy. This gives you 5%. So basically, this is a boosted concealment system. The penalties are what's bugging a lot of people. Your main battery reload time is 15% slower, and your torpedo tube reload time is 5% slower. Now, if I've done the math correctly back then when I was calculating this the first time, and if I remember the numbers correctly, I think you lose about 0.4 second reload of your guns, which I won't lie, you can feel it. When you first get this module and you swap your concealment system modification 1 to modified hull, you will feel that you're actually firing a bit slower. But you can get used to it. That's number 1. Number 2, you will very rarely ever find yourself one-on-one against an enemy destroyer, and that will be both of you full HP, and it's going to be completely one-on-one. Like in competitive, that will almost never happen, and in randoms, it can happen a lot often, but usually somebody will smack somebody. All you need to do is just keep that in mind, that you know, you'll get used to it, and after a while it will be a normal thing for you. You will get completely acquainted to what is your capability. Especially now that the Yueyang has been nerfed from its gun reload was nerfed for, I think, a second or something. So now it's even easier to bear this change. And the torpedo reload is changed only for 4 seconds. Like, that's absolutely... You can disregard that change completely. 4 seconds, it's... By the time I said the sentence, it's already passed. You don't feel that. What you feel is guns. But I think it's worth it, because you get this 5% from 10 to 15. That's actually 300 meters. Now, this is very important, because the normal gearing has 5.9 detection. You will be out-detected by Shima, and you will be out-detected by a lot of tier 8 and 9 DDs. With this module, your detection drops down to 5.6. There is not a single destroyer in the game that's tier 10 that has better concealment than 5.6. Only one destroyer has it, as far as I know, and that's Shima with 5.6. And if you're a Shima and I'm a gearing and we meet each other in the same time, I'm pretty sure you will be the one running away, not me. Or the other way around. If I'm a Shima and you're a gearing, we spot each other in the same time, I want to get the hell out not you. You are hunting me. So I think this is an absolutely glorious buff to the gearing. Yes, you slightly nerf its gun reload, but you can deal with that. Gearing is still a monster. Torpedo nerf is not even there, basically. And the fact that you are the top dog, the alpha, in concealment, while also being a very good torpedo and a very good gunboat, and that a lot of very, very sneaky tier 8, 9 IGN DDs only have like 100 or 200 meters advantage over you instead of like 600, I think that's amazing. So this one, absolute yes for me. But if you feel that you're getting too hindered by 0.4 second gun reload and that it's not worth it, keep the regular concealment and good luck. But if you run into a gearing that has 5.6 and you're in a gearing with 5.9, you have 300 meters gap to close before you can see me, and that might be a significant problem for you. You might lose so much HP before you even lay your eyes on me, if you lay your eyes on me, that gun reload that you have ain't gonna matter. So, next one, Worcester. This is the one that I wouldn't advise, personally. The regular one that would use concealment, -10, dispersion, +5. The enhanced countermeasures lose all that. You do not get the 5% dispersion penalty, and you do not get the -10 detectability. So your ship will be a lot easier to hit and to see. What you get out of it is your defensive AA, your radar, and your hydro will be lasting 10 or 20% longer. I mean, it already lasts bloody long. You don't need to prolong it for a couple of more seconds. And this is a light cruiser. This thing depends upon not being hit and not being seen. So to keep it really brief, I wouldn't advise this because I don't think you need it. I think concealment will stay a lot better. Next up, Salem doesn't have it, Monty. Okay, here's the one that it's going to be entirely up to you. The regular one you have is concealment upgrade. -10 detectability, 5% dispersion. Pretty normal stuff. This one loses that, so you no longer have the 5% dispersion and the 10% detectability, just like the Worcester. But what you do get, fire lasts even 15% more. So if you spec your captain and your ship for survivability stuff, this will be an additional 15% to fire, 30% to flooding. Your rudder shift will turn 30% faster, which is pretty significant. And if your steering gets damaged, it will be repaired in 70% faster, which is really, really fast. So in other words, if you expect to be taking a lot of heat, and you don't care that much about concealment, go for it. I think with the concealment, you are about... I don't have a commander now. I think it's about 13.7, something like that. And I could be wrong, but I'm sure you will calculate it or just see it if you have the captain on yourself. And without this, and you go for this, I think it's 14.9, so almost 15 km. You will basically be spotted all the time, unless you want to snipe from the back. But if you want to brawl and you don't care about concealment, this might be the thing for you. Like I said, completely up to your preference. Next up, Midway. Unlike the Haku, here you can go again for 5% cruise speed, or you can go 15% to strike aircraft HP. This thing gives you 30% to aircraft HP, strike aircraft HP instead of 15, I think. Yeah. But you lose 5% speed. So your planes, considering they are a bit... They have been nerfed in the last couple of patches, if you remember. This is kind of nice, because now they're not that easily killable. And I can tell you, I have felt this buff to planes in a lot of situations where the planes would just not bloody die. they wouldn't die, or you would shoot down so few of them before they actually make the proper drop, which was a bit weird because if I recall correctly, the tiers of these strike planes of the Midway are kind of lower because that was the nerf. They're a bit slower, but they're a lot more resilient. Up to your choosing, but I think this is actually worth it, honestly. Also, one point that I forgot to mention is just because I don't have some of these equipped that I would advise to you, that doesn't mean I'm a hypocrite and I won't be using it, but I will advise it to you. Some of these I don't use because I was testing other things. Some of these are not equipped because I don't even bloody play the ship, so no point. And after all, I can advise you something even though I'm not using it myself, because I think it might do you good, and I have a personal reason, which is in minority, why I don't use it. So just to get that out of the way. Next up, Kaba. I think this is a really, really good one for the Kaba. Like, it's really hard to say what people usually use. I'm pretty sure they don't use the acquisition. People either go for concealment, which honestly, if you're a Kaba, you don't need. You're gonna be detected at like 9.7 without it, or about 9 or 8 point something with it. It's too much anyway. Might as well just go full gunboat and take steering gears modification 3. Rudder shifts -40, steering gears repair time -80. It's a pretty good Kaba gunboat build. But the legendary one brings you 8% more firing range. Like, I bloody hate this module. Kaba is already a nasty thing to deal with. Now, thankfully, when the BB-AP change arrived, Kabas and Harugumo still get affected by it. Because, good God, they got a lot of HP. This one has got a heal, and they're really fast and really hard to hit. So the BB can still punish this thing. But with this module, you can even fire from more range, so it's going to be even harder to hit you. You will decrease your reload, and the penalties, your turrets return a bit slower. I think that's not too bad. I think it's worth it, honestly. So either this or this, it's still up to your preference, but I think it's a good module. Next up, Grozavoy. I use torpedo reload on my Grozavoy, 15% torpedo reload, and I've been playing recently a lot with it, and I like this destroyer. I'm starting to like it. It takes a lot of damage, which is why it has a heal, but I think it's a good thing. The legendary module brings you main battery reload time down 18%. So your guns will be reloaded 18% faster. However, you lose some main battery traverse speed, your turrets will turn slower, and your torpedo tube reload time will go +10. Nah. This is not a Kaba. You don't play Grozavoy, in my opinion, as a Kaba. If you want to play Grozavoy like that, then just play bloody Kaba. So, I don't think this is worth it. But if you want it, you can try it. Next up, Moskva. Moskva, usually I would go for reload. This thing gives you 11% better dispersion and 8% more firing range. And you will have your turret traverse slower. So this is again up to your preference. I heard good praises about this module, because your ship will just be really accurate and you will get even more range with the same penalty as here, where you won't have a bit more range and your accuracy won't be that good, but you get reload. So all you have to decide is, do I want the reload or do I want a bit more range and better accuracy? Because the penalty is the same. So that's up to you. Next up, Z52. Z52, no. That's just, in my opinion, no. Detectability and dispersion, or detectability 5% instead of 10. And torpedo reload time 15% buffed. instead of 5% harder to hit. This destroyer has 6.1 detection. For a tier 10, that's pretty bad. Let me just put it into perspective for you. Shima 5.6. Yueyang 5.8. Gearing 5.6 or 5.9. Daring, I think it's 6.0. Grozavoy 6.0. And then this is 6.1. Why would you go even further detection? This will increase your detection to like 6.4, 6.5. That's too much. I don't think it's worth it. What do you get? You get torpedo reload time by 15%. This bloody thing already fires torpedoes really fast anyway. Minute 16. I mean, minute 16 with the module, and even without this. If you want to buff it, just bloody take this. You will get another 10%. Instead of 15, you can drop whatever. Honestly, Superintendent, you can drop and just take this. So you get the same thing anyway. Of course, you can stack both things in the same time, but it already fires torpedoes really fast. And it's just... Nah. My opinion, no. Not worth it. I think concealment is really fine because with 6.1, you're still one of the destroyers with the worst concealment. But there's a trick. This thing gets the hydro that detects ships at 6 kilometers. It's the same thing with the Cleveland. Cleveland gets detected at 9.1, has a radar of 9. This thing gets detected at 6.1, has a hydro that detects ships at 6. So when you get detected, you were basically closing the gap. You were going at least at a small angle towards each other. By the time your brain processes that you're detected, all you need to do is activate the hydro, and you will already be at least at 6 km. And even if it's a Shima or a Gearing with a legendary at 5.6, or even a bloody IGN at a 5.4 or 5.5, they will detect you at 6.1 and they're like, oh, I have 600 meters. No, you don't. I activate the hydro, I see you at 6.0. Your concealment is worthless. But if you go to 6.5 or something, they will have so much time to react. So, in my opinion, not worth it. Next up, Hindi. This is also the one up to preference. It really depends on how you play this ship. I put it on and I kept it on, but I'm not entirely sure do I want to keep it. Now, I've been playing a lot of games with it, and it really does help. But it will help you after you're already in a kind of crappy situation. And without this, you might not find yourself in a crappy situation. What's the trick? Main battery repair time 50%. So if your turret gets damaged, you will repair it 50% faster. That doesn't happen too often. Nice to have, but whatever. Fire extinguishing time minus 40%. That is huge. Flooding recovery time minus 70%. You basically do not have to use your repair party. The fires get put out so fast, and even floods, especially if you go with the flag, you don't even need to use your repair. So you basically leave your repair for specific situations where you are on fire on 3 locations or 4. And being on fire for 10-15 seconds is going to do significant amount of damage, so you just burn the repair. And if they get lucky to set you on fire again, well, it's not going to last too long anyway. If you get torpedoed, you're not going to flood too long anyway. So this is a really tanky, brawly module that I like, and it also gives you 20% faster rudder shift time. I think it's good. However, you lose concealment, and there's no 5% to dispersion, so they will hit you easier, and you will get detected at 13.7 instead of like 12 point something. So It's a very good module, and I have been using it extensively, and it really does help. But you know, if you like concealment, if you don't like to play it too brawly, might be better to just go for concealment, honestly. If you like concealment, just go for that. If you feel like you want to, you know, get your hands dirty and that you play your Hindi a bit more aggressive and stuff, or you feel like you're burning too much or too often, or you want to buff that, give it a try. It's a good module. I would definitely advise you to try it. Next, Kurfürst. You can buff your main reload, or you can go some AA or some secondary crap with this thing. It's a beast. But the main one gives you main battery reload time 15%. Your main battery will be reloaded even faster. Like the main reload right now is 28.2, and you can drop that to additional 15%. I think it's around 26, 20. Let me just equip it. $27.2 right now. Okay, so you buff your reload. You buff your secondary battery reload, but you lose turret traverse, which is already not very good, and you lose main battery firing range, which is also not very good at the Kurfürst. So your range is only 19 kilometers. This is a brawler. This is the brawling module. You pick this if you plan to brawl, if you plan to engage, if you want to camp in the back. Well, the Kurfürst is not the ship for it in the first place, but with this you will definitely be very, very limited. So up to your preference. I can't really say yes or no, but I'm guessing if you are not a campy kind of guy, then definitely a yes. Next up we have, I think Daring doesn't have it. Yep, Conqueror. You can go for concealment, 10% and 5% dispersion, or you can go for main battery traverse speed plus 13%. Your turrets will be turning faster. Your rudder shift is going to be buffed by 40%, which is pretty damn good. And your steering gear repair time, if it ever happens that your steering gets knocked out, will be repaired pretty fast, 80% faster than normal. Which should be like 5-10 seconds tops, so you don't have to waste your repair kit on it. It's a pretty good module, and I just don't play this bloody ship. I should probably try it, because I can't remember trying this, but I can tell you immediately, 40% rudder shift on a battleship, and 13% main battery traverse speed, that's pretty sweet. So if you don't suffer from I have to be stealth all the time, then might be worth giving a try. And of course, this is without the captain. So next, Yueyang. This is one of those ships which I would just say no. You have to give your concealment, which is 5.8. This is because it's not a captain. It's 5.8. And 5% to dispersion. You have to give that up for what? 10% main battery reload time and 10% torpedo reload time. Your smoke will last 15% shorter. Your radar will last 15% shorter. You will not have a buff of 5% to dispersion. You will not have 10% concealment. So this is going to be basically your concealment, because the captain gives you 10%. So if I was to put a captain and demount this, this is going to be your concealment. No penalty when the enemy shoots at you. Your detection is disgusting. And you get 10% faster torp reload and main battery reload. And your consumables last shorter. I think it's just not worth it, honestly. Although, you could be thinking, well shit, since the Yueyang got nerfed, I maybe actually need this to compensate for the nerf. If you want to compensate your DPM, you will be sacrificing way too much in my opinion, if you want to do it this way. But up to you. Next up, Henry. Usually you would probably go for either concealment or steering gears. But this thing gives you 8% main battery firing range. You will have even more range with your guns, which in this case, where is it? 20.6. That is pretty damn good range for a cruiser. You will get 12% faster reload, but your detection goes up. So you are detected, good sir, from 15.5 kilometers. You are by far the worst ship in the game when it comes to concealment. Even the Brawly Montana is 14.9 with a legendary, I believe. This thing is go 15.5. You will be constantly spotted, but you can afford to stay back and shoot often. Up to your preference, really. I tried it. It's a bit ridiculous when you're constantly spotted and you're a big flat target, but you're really fast and it's not really easy to hit, and you get to fire faster. So up to you. It's a solid module. And the last is Republique. This is one of the weirdest of them all, honestly, because usually you would just go better reload, or maybe if you want to buff your AA. I really don't think you need more range, because this bloody thing has 26.1 kilometer range. Like, why the hell would you need that? So just, you know, turrets are turning fast anyway, so just buff the reload. This thing gives you 18% main battery reload time instead of 12. So you will reload even faster, and this is, I think, the fastest reloading tier 10 ship. You will lose 13% main battery traverse speed, which is exactly the same as here. So this is the copy paste of this module that's just improved. But you lose 24% main battery firing range. Let me just show you how that looks like. 19.8. Instead of 26.1, you go down to 19.8. Now, I don't know if 20 kilometer range is okay for you, if you just want to, you know, shoot a lot faster. But I know for a fact that a lot of you are like, oh, no. That is not good, that, 20 kilometer range is not bad, but you will be outranged by tier 8 battleships, no problem. If you are not one of those super campy battleships, this might be the module for you. But if you don't know how to act, how to behave at 15 to 20 kilometers, I wouldn't advise it. I mean, 20, what is it? 26.1 is ridiculous. You don't need it. 23 is more than enough. But you get dropped to 19.8. So if you think you can deal with that cut in range of 6.3 kilometers and that you are absolutely fine, then go for it. Why not? Just buff your reload even more. But if you are not really sure about it, then I guess you can just leave it and go for main battery reload time. I think that's it. I hope I didn't skip on any tier 10. Of course, a couple of tier 10s do not have the special modules, so we can't really discuss that. Like Daring, like Salem, like Stalingrad, Azuma being the new test ship, which is a work in progress. I hope this video was useful. I am not entirely sure how long this video is going to be. Oh dear God, 45 minutes. I always get amazed at how long some of these videos where I do reviews last, and I really try to be as fast as possible. So without any further losing of time, thank you for watching. Share, like, whatever, if you found this helpful. If not, then just bloody hit a dislike and leave me a raging comment. Thank you so much. Have a good rest of the day. I'll see you soon.